Well, it happened again. Ledger just announced that their third-party shipping partner, Global E, had a security incident today that leaked customer data. So in this video, I'm not wasting any time. I'm breaking down exactly what happened, how to know if you are affected, why this keeps happening, and how to ensure this never happens to you again. First, let's talk about what actually happened and what customer information was leaked. So Global E is an e-commerce platform that helps brands like Ledger process and ship orders straight to your door. Well, today Global E announced that there was a breach targeting multiple brands' customer information, including Ledger. Now here's exactly what information they got: names, email addresses, phone numbers, physical addresses, and order details such as what product you bought. Now, just to be as clear as possible, your crypto is still safe. This does not affect your Ledger hardware wallet. No wallets were compromised as a result of this breach. Also, no payment information like your bank card details or your passwords were leaked. So from a crypto and payment standpoint, you're still safe and no Ledger wallet has ever been compromised. That said, this isn't the first time Ledger has dealt with a customer data breach. Back in 2020, Shopify, which was Ledger's e-commerce platform at the time, also had a data breach that also leaked customer information. The good news is that we learned a lot from that incident back in 2020, more specifically how hackers use this data to target customers. And the biggest threat by far is phishing scams. When hackers have access to things like your email address, phone number, and physical address, you need to be on high alert for all those points of contact. In fact, we're already seeing some customers receive fake emails from this breach, so the best way to avoid clicking on a phishing email is to always verify the sender and also just never click on random links that are in unsolicited emails. As for phone calls, just know that they are going to be extremely targeted now that they know that you have a Ledger wallet, and just know that no crypto company, whether it's a crypto exchange like Coinbase or a hardware wallet manufacturer like Ledger, none of them will ever reach out to you, especially over the phone. That's just not a thing. So if you ever receive a phone call about your crypto, you can instantly know that it's a scam. And lastly, there's your physical address. This is the scariest part of the breach. However, we learned from the last Ledger data breach that hackers used physical addresses to send phishing campaigns in physical mail. So letters were sent out claiming to be from Ledger, and all the letters, they had different formats and talked about different things, but they all had the same goal, which was either to get you to scan the QR code or go to the website listed in the letter. But the end goal with this physical letter was to get you to go to their website and enter your 12 or 24 word seed phrase so that they could ultimately steal your crypto. So here's the best advice I can give you to avoid falling for any of these targeted attacks. 1, don't click unsolicited links in your email. 2, no crypto company will ever call you. 3, no crypto company will ever send you physical mail. And 4, under no circumstances should you ever enter your seed phrase on any website. Follow these rules and your crypto will remain safe. That said, only a certain number of Ledger customers were affected by this breach, so you're probably wondering if you were affected. Here's how to instantly know if you were. If your data was leaked in this breach, you'll receive an email from Global E with an official statement, and I'll make sure to put their email address on screen so you know exactly what to look for and know that it's the real address. It'll come from noreply@globale.com, and just look at the screen to verify that this is the real email address. And just know that this notification was sent on January 5th to affected customers only, and the subject line is an important notification from Global E regarding unauthorized access to data. So if you receive an email that matches that exact criteria, it's the correct sender, it was sent out on January 5th, and it has that exact subject line, then you were likely a part of that breach. But just to be safe, make sure to not click on any links in any of these emails that you receive, even if it's the legit email. Just avoid clicking links. But the real question is, and what I'm really curious to know, is why does this keep happening? And more importantly, how do you prevent your data from ever being leaked again just for buying a hardware wallet? Well, I did a ton of research and this is what I discovered. When you buy a hardware wallet, which is a security product, it still goes through the normal e-commerce process. And while those companies do consider security, it's not a top priority like it is with a hardware wallet company. So even if the company making the wallet, like Ledger, is secure, all the third parties that they use to sell and ship the product don't have the same security standards as the wallet company. That creates a weak spot in the supply chain. So whether it's customer data, shipping information, payment processing, there's almost always a third party involved, and that's exactly what hackers are going after. Hackers and scammers almost always go after the weakest link, whatever requires the least effort but gives the highest payoff. Now, hackers already know that Ledger is a security company, and their wallets are secure, because they've never been hacked. So why would they waste time going after Ledger when they could go after these third-party companies who don't have the same security standards? That's exactly what they're doing. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do to increase the security of these third-party companies, so we need to ask ourselves, as customers, what can we do to protect our data? Before I answer that, we need to look at this one major issue. Both the wallet company, Ledger, or any other hardware wallet manufacturer, and the third parties that they work with are required to keep customer information for a set amount of time. If we're strictly talking about shipping information, name, email address, phone number, physical address, in many cases, they're required to keep that information for several years. And even if a company like Ledger, Trezor, Tangem, OneKey, whoever it may be, even if they did delete their customer data, the third parties that they work with still have that data and are still likely required to keep that data for a set amount of time. And that's exactly why hackers are targeting them. But there are some things that you can do to prevent hackers from getting your real data and using it against you. Now, I have to warn you, these methods are a bit extreme. However, if your goal is to protect your data, this is really the only option I see. Basically, all you need to do is use an alternative name, email address, phone number, and physical address legally and still get your package. And there is a way to do this, which I'm about to walk you through. Let's start with your email. This is pretty simple. Just create a brand new email address that you only use to order products online. That way, if you ever receive a phishing email, you'll instantly be able to spot it because you know you should only be receiving receipts and order confirmations with that email address. Next, you need a phone number, and this is surprisingly really easy as well. You can use something like Google Voice, which is completely free, and they'll give you a phone number that's yours that you can use for really anything you want. That way, if you're ever getting spam calls or scam calls, at least it's to your Google phone number and not your actual phone number. Then we have your name. This is where things start to get a bit harder. In some countries like the US, it's not illegal to use a pseudonym or an alias if you're purchasing private goods like a hardware wallet. But if you use a completely fake name, like your name is Bob Johnson and you use the name John Doe, you could run into issues if you need to pick up your package at the post office and provide ID with your real name on it that won't match the package. Or if your package is going through customs, this could also create issues if you're using a fake name and they could potentially seize your package. So the middle ground strategy is to use a variation of your real name. So for example, instead of using your first and last name, you could use your middle and last name. So if your name is Robert Francis Kennedy, you could order the package as Francis Kennedy, or maybe a shortened version of your name like Rob Kennedy. And lastly, your address. Now this is the hardest part of the equation because you can't fake your address and you still need to receive your product. So there's two options as far as I'm concerned. The first option is to have the package or your hardware wallet delivered directly to your workplace. So maybe you have a boss that you can ask if you can just get a package delivered one time. Who knows, they might say yes. But this is definitely the easiest solution here. Other than that, your only other option really is to rent a mailbox or a PO box. And I believe it's better to rent a mailbox because you get a physical address that can accept packages from all couriers, whereas I believe a PO box can be limited to what kind of packages are accepted. But then you also have to consider that you have to go and set that up. You also have to pay the subscription fee. And if you only need it for one package, it might not be worth it. Now, if you don't want to deal with any of this, and honestly, I don't blame you, this is an insane amount of hoops that we have to jump through just to get a package delivered to our house so that our personal information isn't leaked. There is one last ditch option that you can do. You can contact the company and formally request to have your personal information removed from their database. Tangem is one company that allows you to do this. However, this might not be an option. It really just depends on what company you're ordering your hardware wallet from. Now, if you're wondering whether or not I'm going to continue using my Ledger wallets, the short answer is yes. I still trust Ledger hardware wallets to secure my crypto. But if this data breach has turned you off of Ledger, I get it. That's why I put together a blueprint for choosing the best cold wallet. You can watch that here. I'll see you over there. God bless and peace out.